Greetings, everyone. I just need to connect Instagram and then we are ready. Okay. I think there's a bit of a delay on the Instagram side, but that's okay. And also have to bring forward TikTok because I'm on a ton of platforms at one time, um, but it's okay. So, yes, today we are finishing up our 4-part series on laxative use and its impact on the body, particularly from a physical and an emotional side, because I talked about how so many people are unaware that emotionally we hold on to emotional data inside of the body. So you have to forgive me because I am like a little running behind schedule today, but I'm going to get this together. So let me just recap where we have been with the last 3 lives that we did around this topic. And so first, let me introduce myself. I'm Sage Joya. I am a former accountant, corporate accountant for more than a decade. And now I have turned into a mind gut health practitioner for the last 25 years. And I love it. And I'm also a newly certified quantum biologist. I love the fact that I can combine quantum biology with the mind gut health practitioner because there are so many free resources that you can use to heal your body when you start bringing in the quantum biology perspective of trying to heal your gut. So let me just recap in terms of my story and why I put this information out here in the first place. So when I was 5 years old, I overdosed on laxatives and I was left alone. And for me, those laxatives translated into a piece of chocolate. And my mother used to always give me like a half a square. And so this day I decided that I wanted more chocolate, not fully understanding what the consequences could be. But at any rate, my mother thought that if she placed the chocolate out of reach, that I wouldn't be able to reach it. But of course, we all know that kids can be very, very resourceful when they want something. And so I wanted the chocolate and I made sure that I was able to grab the chocolate. It took a little bit, but I was able to accomplish it. And then I wound up eating 3 squares of chocolate, which really wasn't a good idea. But you know, you live and you learn. And then later, my mother came to find out, or she didn't come to find out, but I came to find out that taking laxatives on a regular basis is not a good idea for anybody's gut. And so let's talk about why I was taking laxatives in the first place. After I received my immunizations as a child, I actually suffered a lot. I had like eczema, weepy skin. I was always swollen first thing in the morning. I had immune failure, and I went to the bathroom once every other week. I had chronic constipation for years. And the doctor's solution was to give me antibiotics. And we now know that when you give someone antibiotics, you shouldn't give them antibiotics any longer than 3 months. But for me, during that time period, I was on antibiotics for years. And people talk now about how if you're taking antibiotics that long, then you're definitely going to destroy your gut microbiome. And for me, it was not a good situation. People say that you can't recover, but I am living witness that you can recover from a destructive microbiome, but you have to have that due diligence. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about laxative use, because many people don't know the destruction that can happen inside of the body from taking laxatives. So let's just talk about a few of those things for people who haven't heard the other 3 parts of the series. How are laxatives destructive to the body? Well, one, laxatives can dehydrate the body. They can still that water because they need some type of water to be able to facilitate the movement of that waste material inside of the body. That's one. And then the second way that laxatives can be destructive is they turn off the digestive signaling that's happening inside of the body. And so the body doesn't really, it starts to rely upon this substance to release material from the body that way that in a way that it doesn't pay attention to the digestive signaling that's taking place inside of the body. So it dismantles that opportunity. And then the worst thing that can happen is that the colon can become atonic, or you can suffer pseudo obstruction. And so having an atonic colon is having a colon that doesn't have the muscle tone attached to it. Thank you so much for the hearts. I really appreciate it. Much love. And so when you have that, when you're taking laxatives, you're telling the body that I don't believe that you can work. And so you're turning off the ability for the muscle to exercise itself. And then the next thing you know, you have a colon that is not very responsive. And the problem with that is many people take laxatives for years upon years upon years. And then when they get to this point where the body is no longer responding to the laxatives and the muscle tone has been destroyed, so it's not going to work in that aspect as well, and you have a serious problem on your hands, because then it's like, well, how do you get the material out? That's also when you begin to experience something like pseudo obstruction, where you feel like there's something on the digestive tract and inside the colon and you need to move it, and for some reason there's nothing there and you can't seem to move anything. And that's when people start to say that you're having psychological problems. And I really hate to hear that, because so many people are not having psychological problems. They're having emotional problems, but not psychological problems. It really is a thing that they can't go to the bathroom, especially once they have been taking laxatives for some time. So if you haven't heard the other 3 lives, I'm going to encourage you to go to YouTube, and all of those lives are sitting there, and you can learn more about some of the destructive things that can happen when you're taking laxatives on a regular basis. So in this talk today, what I want to talk about is my 7C formula. And so I did tell you in the other lives that on this live, I was actually going to tell you my approach to addressing gut issues and addressing colon issues, my approach to being able to extract that emotional data from the colon as well as the physical data, so you can actually start to have long-term success with your gut health. And so my reveal today is that with my clients, I'm actually, and I have a slide that I actually can bring up, but I can't bring it up on the TikTok side, but I can bring it up on the LinkedIn side and the other platforms that I'm working with. But I want to show you this slide. And on this slide, I'm showing the entire digestive tract. And so the entire digestive tract, it starts with the mouth and it ends at the anus. So when you think about your digestive tract or your gut tract, because digestive tract and gut tract are one and the same, I want you to remember that you have 2 openings. And those 2 openings allow for an excellent opportunity for you to heal your gut. And in our society, we're very orally fixated. So we always focus on the mouth opening, the oral opening of the digestive tract, instead of utilizing the exit opening, which is the anus. I like to call it the exit because it sounds a little bit more palatable for people. But that's also an opening too that we can use for healing our gut tract. Now, let's talk a minute about why that exit opening is so important. Studies have now proven that the digestive tract is coined the second brain. And with that opportunity, studies now know that bacteria also participates in immune regulation. And the greatest concentration of bacteria that we have is sitting right inside of the colon. And I know, like, you're probably looking at me and you're like, why is she so excited about the colon? And why is she so excited about this opening? And the reason why I'm excited is because if you're having difficulty going to the bathroom, really the focal point here is the colon. Like, often people are having gut problems and they don't really want to admit that they can't go to the bathroom. And for whatever reason, I know it's based on society, we like to think about the colon as separate from the digestive tract. And so when we think about gut issues, we think about the stomach and we think about the small intestine mainly, but not the colon. And so if you have bacteria that regulates your immune system and helps you with body function, and the majority of it is sitting inside of the colon, that is like the biggest opportunity that we have in terms of healing our gut. So I will have to tell you that in just one drop of colon fluid, one drop, there is more than 1 billion bacteria sitting in just one drop. Like studies now show, I think it was like 39 trillion bacteria that are approximately sitting right inside of the colon. So if you're looking to heal your body, if you're having difficulty going to the bathroom, if you're having chronic inflammation, if you're having elbow pain and back pain, then you definitely want to try to support your immune system. Now, with that immune system, a good amount of it sitting right inside of the colon. I mean, studies now show that the entire gut actually is about 70 to 80% of our immune system. But we now know that we have this concentration of an immune system sitting right inside of our colon. So if you're having immune failure and you also can't go to the bathroom, that's a red flag. That should actually tell you, if the majority of my immune system is sitting right inside of my colon and I can't go to the bathroom, that means that I'm having dysbiosis. Dysbiosis means that you're having an imbalance in your bacteria balance, because you should have good bacteria and bad bacteria. They fight each other and they help us to keep our immune system strong. But if you have a lot of waste material in there and that function has slowed down and you're not moving that waste out timely, guess what else is going to happen? Your immune system is going to begin to fail. So if you're looking for an opportunity to heal it, the best thing that I love to do is to introduce water into the exit opening of your digestive tract. For me, as a child, I took a ton of medication. I was always placing pills in my mouth, laxatives, antibiotics, all of it. And guess what? I wasn't getting any better. I had chronic yeast infections. I had juvenile arthritis. You name it, I had it. There's a post on my TikTok page where I list all of the ailments that I had, and that I'm 30 plus years free of medication. Look at that post and see all of the different things that I had. It's so easy to have all of that dysfunction because your immune system is failing. And so it's just going to leave you exposed when you're not moving that waste material out of the body in a timely manner. So when I began to introduce water into the exit opening of my digestive tract, that was the biggest game changer for me. I started to see a change in my skin. Instead of me having like the rashes and the weepy skin, I actually started to move away from that because my immune system was getting much better. Instead of me having the chronic yeast infections, those went away. Why? Because my immune system was getting better. And so let me also explain to you why that water works so well inside of the colon. And it's all about the application as well. So let's first talk about why it works so well. It works well because, one, you're missing hydration, which is causing an inability for you to release that physical waste material out of the body. But I want to talk for a minute about the fact that we have water inside of our body. It has been newly rediscovered that we have H3O2 inside of our body. It's called EZ water, not EASY. It's E and Z, EZ water. And that water is a gel-like consistency. It's a crystalline substance. And science now knows that that water actually holds memory. But that water is very important in terms of our immune system and helping us to keep our immune system healthy. And there's so many ways where we can actually deplete that water, which will put us at a disadvantage in terms of our immune system. But there's also many ways that we can increase that water inside of the body and take advantage of the immune support that we get from that water. And so when you are introducing water into the body, something called hydrogen bonding happens because you have this water inside of your body, and then you also have the water that you're introducing, and so they connect with each other. And it's a way for you to also increase the easy healing water inside of your body. And so this water, in terms of the emotional data that I talked to you about holding on to inside of your colon, this water actually, when it bonds, it begins to raise that emotional data to the surface. And that's a beautiful thing, because now you're able to come into conscious awareness as to what that water means, or what that emotional data means, and connect with it and understand why it's been holding you back. Because I talk to people all the time about, when I have my clients that I'm working with, we talk about that emotional data, and the goal of the session is not necessarily to remove the physical waste. We are definitely removing physical waste, but the goal is for them to come into an understanding of what is the emotional data that is associated with the backlog of waste, because that information is there, but many people don't know how to extract it. So in the process of me introducing that water into the body for the clients, that's the goal that we're trying to achieve. And once we achieve that goal, it helps the individual to raise their level of awareness to the dysfunction that is going on in the body, but they get a chance to raise their level of awareness to the reason that the dysfunction is happening inside of the body. And when you understand why you have that dysfunction, it's a game changer. I mean, most often when people are having problems in their digestive tract, they think, oh, it's this food and it's that food, and so I need to take this pill and that pill. And I will tell you that with my clients, we erase that part of the process, and we want to go directly into the reveal of what that emotion is. Because if we're going directly to the source of the problem, instead of placing the pills in our mouth and it has to go through the entire digestive tract, we go directly to the source of the problem, and then we start working with the problem. And I tell you, once you come into conscious awareness, you have more of a power to make a choice as to, okay, how do I want to handle that emotional upset that is taking place inside of my life? Because there are steps that you can take to address it head on. And you'll find that in the long run, will you continue to have gut problems? No, not if you stay connected and aware of what is your truth. What is that thing that you need to change in your life that's not serving you? And it could be the case that you're in a relationship, and that relationship is no longer serving you. And now, since you have the awareness as to what that gut dysfunction is about, you can start trying to figure out, how do I transition myself out of this relationship that's not serving me? And that relationship could be one in your home, it could be something on your job, it could be something with your child. And of course, you're not going to just, depending on the age of the child, you can't just disconnect from the child, but it gives you an opportunity to start looking for resources to improve upon that relationship. Okay, so I digressed a little bit. I wasn't supposed to go that deep into it, because I can talk about this subject all the time. But at this juncture, what I want to do is invite you guys to come to my 4-day challenge, my 4-day gut health challenge, because at the challenge, that's actually where I'm going to go deep into all of this. And I'm going to teach you, how do you identify that emotional data? What is the right application for introducing water into the colon? What are some of the solutions that you can use to address these issues? And then as a quantum biologist, I'm also going to teach you about the quantum mechanisms that you have inside of your body built in, and they actually align with the environment. And so you can use the environment to actually heal your body for free. And so it's pretty amazing. But those are the things that I'm going to talk about and more at the challenge. And the opportunity that you have at the challenge is that, instead of us being on this platform where you have to type in your questions and pray that I see them in the midst of my conversation, but I always get back to you in the end, you don't get a chance to actually talk to me one-on-one. But at the challenge, you'll get a chance to talk to me one-on-one. You'll be able to ask the question, I can respond, and you'll get some additional guidance. And so definitely, if you get a chance to come to the challenge, I say it is the biggest game changer in terms of you being able to heal your gut and learn how to address things without it being so expensive, because you have those free resources that I'm going to teach you about as well, that you can try to dive into. So make sure you, whichever platform you're on, you can click on the link in my bio and you can access the challenge. I think on TikTok I think you can access it, but I think you have a step before. But of course, feel free to DM me. And also, because these replays are going to be on YouTube, you can also place your question below the replay on YouTube. I'll know where the information is coming from. If you use one of my videos on one of my platforms and you put the question there, I'll know and I'll make sure to answer for you. So make sure you get a chance to come to the challenge. But let me go back to the application real quick about introducing water into the body. Okay, so most often people think that introducing water and getting the results that I talk about is as simple as doing an enema or going to get a basic colonic. And I'm going to tell you that if you go do those things, they're helpful, no doubt. That's where I actually started. I started with doing a basic enema. And then at some point I just said to myself during my journey, I don't want to be addicted to anything. I want my body to actually work on its own. I want to retrain the signaling in the muscle inside of my body, which I was able to accomplish. But there was a certain path that I went down in order to do that. And when you're going to utilize a basic enema from out of the store, or you're getting a basic colonic, then you won't have the same experience. I have to be honest. Because the application that I'm using is different. But once again, I'm going to talk about those applications at the challenge so that you guys are armed with additional information and you can start getting some of the results that I am talking about. So definitely try to make your way to the challenge. So real quick, I want to go through the 7C formula that I use with my clients, just so that you guys can get some kind of awareness as to what does that formula look like. And so one of the things that we start with is the client has to be able to communicate the fact that they're ready to get the help. Because so often people think that they're ready, and people assume that they're ready, and then somebody tells them something to do, and then they don't move forward with it because, truth be told, they're not ready. So when a client works with me, they have to be able to say, I'm ready because X, Y, and Z has been happening, and I'm ready to start dismantling that. I'm aware that I've been having this problem. That's the very first step to that 7C formula. The next step of that formula is commitment. I'm looking for you to make a commitment, and that commitment is not with me. That commitment is within yourself. You have to be able to say, no matter what, I'm going to take steps daily to make sure that this happens. I work with a lot of A-listers. I'm an A-lister myself. And so one of the things that A-listers like to do is they get really busy and then they want to just kind of crowd a bunch of things on one day, and then keep plowing through and getting things done on another day. And with this type of formula, you have to have commitment every single day. It's not okay for you to try to crowd a bunch of stuff in one day, because consistency is key. What you have to remember about your digestive tract is that it's working every day. It doesn't get a chance to take time off. And so if you're trying to address your gut issues, you have to make a commitment, and you have to be just as diligent as your digestive system is. And it's like your body is listening to you. Your body is listening to your thoughts. And if you're committed, then your body's saying, okay, this host of mine is committed. I'm going to do my best to try to keep moving forward. Okay. And so the next step is the cleansing process. Once I have that commitment and that communication, then we start the cleansing process. And we start that very early, because what are we looking for? We're looking for that emotional data that's going to pretty much tell us how do we move forward with helping this person to restore the signaling in their body, restore that muscle movement so that they can have the success that they're looking for. And then the next step that we have is connection. When you're going through this cleansing process, you start to connect with your body. I am always so intrigued by the fact that people are so disconnected from their body. They cannot feel what's happening inside of their body. And I understand it, because first of all, we're not taught as a child to stay connected to our body. We disconnect very early from so many circumstances that we have to deal with. many of which is emotional. It can feel really difficult to feel the emotional pains inside of the body. Like most people, thank you so much for the hearts. I appreciate it. Most people don't want to feel those emotions because why? They're hurtful, they're painful. And it's like, what do you do with those emotions? And if you don't feel like you want to hurt and you're not sure how to handle the emotion, you turn it off. But when you turn it off or you bury it, those are the things that can support poor gut health. And that's why so many people that are going through gut health, they're so disconnected from the fact that there's an emotional component of that. Because why? They've turned it off, they pushed it away because they're afraid to feel it. So when we move through this cleansing process, that's when you get a chance to connect. And when you connect, the most beautiful part of it is that because we're dealing with water, the water is absorbing a lot of those pain points, which allows you to be able to walk through the emotion, understand it, get the gold nugget of the experience, and then begin to heal the body. So then the last steps that we have for this 7C formula are clarity, courage, and consciousness. And like I said, when you're connected with that water and it's pulling out those emotions, you begin to have so much more clarity as to why you've been having a gut dysfunction, as to what it is that you've been hiding from your body that you didn't want to stay connected to. And then you also are able to start to develop the courage to start walking toward that thing that was hurtful and forgiving yourself around the matter, understanding the roles that the different people played, and you have the courage to say, okay, I want this, or I'm no longer going to accept this. I have more commitment to myself, and so I'm going to require people, if they want to be in my life, to commit to me and respect me in the way that I respect myself. You start to gain that level of courage, and when I tell you, it's such a beautiful thing, because now you're no longer afraid to speak your truth or to say, I want this or I don't want that. It's okay. And that's what I love about the process is once you start going through that process and you build up that courage, it's like there's no stopping you, because I have said in some of the other lives that we all have desires. But so often in our life, we're afraid to go after those desires. But when you move through this process, that's when you start to really have the courage and you go after that desire, because you now have a full understanding of who you are and what your emotional pain points are and how to handle those emotions instead of turning them off. And it's just a big game changer. And so the very last step of this process is consciousness. And so it ties into the courage and the clarity that I just talked about, because now your level of awareness is raised as to who you are. You add on so many more layers of depth in terms of understanding who you are as an individual, the purpose that you're supposed to serve, having the courage to go after it. It's such a beautiful thing, but that is part of becoming consciously aware of who you are. So that is the 7C formula. Like I said, I'm inviting you guys to definitely come to the challenge, because at the 4-day challenge, we're going to spend an hour together each day. Unless you become one of the A-lister type of clients that participate in the challenge, then we're going to spend 2 hours together. And we're going to go through a lot of information, and you're going to ask your questions, and it's just a big game changer. So you definitely want to try to get yourself to the 4-day challenge so that you can take yourself to the next level. So thank you again for the hearts. That is it for today, because like I said, I can go on about this topic again and again and again for hours and hours and hours, because there's so much depth. There's so much you can understand. Like I said, it took me 25 years to figure out how to reverse my gut problems and to start my signaling. At this point, now I go to the bathroom within 20 to 40 minutes after I eat a meal. That is really how you should go to the bathroom. It took me a little while to get there, but like I said, now that I had to spend that time on that journey, I'm now in the position to be able to help you guys to heal your digestive tract, because I feel like no one should have to suffer that long with digestive problems when there are solutions out here. Something as simple as water, which is a quantum mechanism that's built into your body. Something as simple as the environment. Something as simple as understanding how to apply the water, how to extract that emotional data and live a better quality of life. So those are the things that I want to teach you. So for today, I want you to just hold on to that information and think about the possibilities that can take place in your life. And I want to make sure that all of you guys, I'm really grateful that you have joined the live. Please follow me. Please press the like button wherever you are. And I want all of you guys to have a beautiful day. I will be back online later on this afternoon. I'm thinking about 6:30 if you want to join my next live. But if you pay attention to my story, whichever platform you're on, or if you're on LinkedIn, you'll see a post, and you can always go to my page and it'll tell you, or YouTube, and it'll tell you when the next time that I'm on this afternoon. But everyone have a good day, and thank you. Bye.